Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another webinar for Yashud. And this particular webinar is called the MS1 Micro Sukuk webinar. And we'll be talking about unlocking the power of Nigeria's first Ijara-based Micro Sukuk that Yashud is offering. And as usual, we are thrilled to have you join us on this journey. However, can we kindly just like wait for like the next 2 to 3 minutes just for like a couple more people to join in, and then we can properly move or go along. Thank you very much. All right. Good morning, everybody. Just so we won't take a lot of time, again, we would move on, and of course, there will be like a recording that would make available for others, probably if you want to like review the first part of it. So once again, welcome to Yashud's first Micro Sukuk webinar. At Yashud, we are committed to making a positive impact on individuals and communities through ethical and accessible real estate investments. However, before we go ahead, I would like to introduce our panel for today's webinar. So with me, I have 5 big names in the Sharia and real estate terrain. So we have Abdul Jabbar Oyekon, the founder and CEO of Yashud. We have Abdulaziz Alamutu, the co-founder and head of asset management at Yashud. We also have Ibrahim Ajaini, the co-founder as well as the head of finance at Yashud. And we also have with us 2 guest speakers who will be enlightening us on the impact of Yashud. First off is Sheikh Ibrahim Hamad from Sharia Labs, and second is Mr. Kamil Issa Shwahib from 117 Financial Services. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. So, they will all be with us as we delve into understanding the theme of today, which is unlocking the power of Nigeria's first Ijara-based Micro Sukuk. But before we go on, we think it is very important to like have an overview of what we have been up to for like the first half of 2025, because at Yashud, we are also committed to a very transparent process where we let you realize what we are working on, our progress, and also the kind of milestones we still want to achieve in such a way that you will also feel like you are also part of our journey. So for this, I would like to involve Mr. Abdulaziz to give us an overview of our H1 report, like first half reports, and what we have achieved for 2025. Welcome, Mr. Aziz.
Hello, Faisha. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to have everyone on this call. Thank you. Faisha, if you don't mind, I'm sharing it, then I can go through it.
Okay. Yes, please. Here we go.
Okay. Thank you. So briefly, I'll just be going through what we've achieved so far in 2025. It's been an interesting journey, starting from 2014, when we actually started Yashud, and Alhamdulillah, it's been a success so far. Even though we had a few challenges here and there, but I think we've been able to power through, and we're proud of our achievements so far. Um, just to go ahead, I would like to also give credit to our partners and our staff that has put all this together, and they've been quite supportive since we launched in 2014. Okay, all right, we can go ahead. Our lab will speak more about Yashud as an entity while I go through the reports. Okay, Faisha, please, you can just scroll to the next page. Okay, thank you. So, like I mentioned, that we started 2024. And then from then, we introduced a product called RAIN, which means Real Estate Investment Notes. It was a pioneer investment product by Yashud, where we more or less funded or where we more or less brought people together to invest in different real estate asset classes. And our first issuance, and we were able to raise 152 million, which was quite impressive, bearing in mind that we were new into the market then. And alhamdulillah, that was a huge success. Just to also mention that the money raised from our first issuance deemed by our investors. So meaning we've paid back all the profits that we assured them, and we're giving them back their principal. Also, one major highlight for 2025 for us was integration of zakat into our offerings, because we realized that a lot of our investors sought our opinion of how their zakat will be paid from the investment. So we made that automated. So from the platform where people invest, and now automatically deduct your zakat from it, which we felt it was a very good added value for every one of our investors. Also, from our platform, we have a program called Refer, and basically we're trying to encourage people to bring in investors. We're trying to encourage people to learn more about Islamic finance. We're trying to encourage people to learn the ethics of investing in Sharia compliant products. So we started a program called Refer and Earn program, whereby people more or less referred investors to us, referred partners to us, and they were rewarded for that. That was actually a success. We had a lot of young new players join us. Pardon my language, but we had a lot of Gen Zs. They really enjoyed the program, and they were able to plug into this, and that grew our customer base by over 300% during the past year. Okay, another milestone for us, which I'm very happy about, is the development, or let's say the construction progress of our initial development called Center Point. We started this late about September 2024, and as we speak, we're close to completing the roof. All the structures, the columns, and everything is up. And that contributed into the success of our insurance. The beauty of the development is because we use what we call alternative construction methods. So we use columns that are different traditional construction techniques. So that's sped up our construction model, and alhamdulillah, we're close to completion. I can assure everyone on this call by December, January of 2026, this development should be completed. Okay. Also, just to enlighten our members, as we went on, we introduced a bi-weekly Islamic finance program called Usra Fridays. So basically, what this does is just to enlighten a lot of our investors, our customers, about the ethics of Islamic finance, what they should expect, what Islamic finance basically covers, home finance, anything that has to do with finance. We discuss that every 2 weeks on our Usra Fridays, and that's been very successful. I think average attendance over the past couple of weeks has been between 15 and 20 people joining bi-weekly, which we think was quite impressive. Okay, I can see. Okay, we're moving on to the Yashud as alternative. Yeah. So why we decided to highlight it is just to compare what we're offering versus other what other investment products we're offering. And as you can see, our investment notes, which we launched last year, was quite successful. The yield was above all the investment products in the market, even comparing with the likes of treasury bills, comparing with the likes of cowrie vest, even putting your money in an investment account, you should not actually beat that in terms of yield. So this just shows the viability of our issuances. It shows the viability of our products and the competitiveness of everything we do. Okay, Faisha, if you could just scroll up again. Okay, I think I've discussed this earlier in terms of the zakat deduction. So later on this call, Faisha will probably take us through how our investors can benefit from this zakat model. Like I mentioned, it automatically deducts your zakat from your investment at the end of the investment period. And what we've also done is we've aggregated zakat beneficiaries that will benefit from this. This is a very transparent process. Everything is transparent. You can see the people that will be benefiting online. You can see everything from the brochure. So your money is being passed for the good of humanity. Okay, yes, Faisha, just to run through. Okay, I'll just take us through a brief description of why we are here. That's our Micro Sukuk. This was August 18. It's a real estate backed asset product. We are looking to raise about 300 million. It's a tenure of 3 years, but it's callable after 12 months. Sorry, after 12 months, which means you can plug in for 3 years, but if your funds are needed, if you need your funds after 12 months, you can liquidate. And what we also done is we're returning a coupon of 21%, which is quite above the market rate. The last Sukuk issuance by the federal government was about 19%, and we are 200 basis points above that. Yeah. Structure of the finance is called an ijara, which is like a leasing agreement. My colleague Ibrahim will be taking us through that later on this call. Oh, like I mentioned earlier, this investment product is backed by Centerpoint. Centerpoint is the development I mentioned earlier. Is located in Yaba, off Abel Macaulay. It's a commercial space of about 380 square meters. We already have off-takers that are taking up those spaces, so we feel this is well this is well in line with our Sharia backing. So all our investment products are usually backed by ISET. So at no point are those money at risk. So if there was anything that happens, they can always fall back on that asset as it is theirs. For this issuance, we've also sought partnership from top players in the industry. The trustees are here who will be acting on behalf of the investors for this issuance. So they will be the one keeping an eye out for everything in terms of compliance, in terms of due diligence, in terms of checking if these properties actually exist, in terms of checking the rates. So the trust will be acting on behalf of the investors for this. Then we also brought in Jazz as our Sharia advisors for this issuance, where they will be advising on the Sharia compliance of the entire issuance as we have it. Also, our financial advisors for this are 117. They're quite known in the industry. They're quite competent, and they've taken on board all the financial risk elements that might come up in the product. Okay, so I think I dropped off earlier. Yeah. So 170 will be giving a brief description of what the product is about later on this call. Okay, I think I've taken this feature in terms of the center points updates, but I can just go through. So this is the roof I mentioned earlier. So you can see the steel frames, everything looking good. If you could scroll down a bit. Yeah, so the steel frame, everything is completed. Our roof sheets have been laid, staircase, also done. The M&E means the mechanical work have also been completed to the second floor, and the solar panels will also be installed just to make sure the project is sustainable for occupants. Okay, another major highlight I alluded to earlier was the redemption of our Series 2. So all our initial investors that trusted us with their funds at the beginning of at the beginning of our issuance rain last year have all taken back their money. We make sure all their profits are paid on time. And alhamdulillah, that was a huge success. We have some testimonials here we can go through, but I'll let them speak for themselves later on this call. I think that will be all from me, and thank you for your time, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Abdulaziz, for that. And so we'll dive right into the Micro Sukuk, the details of the Micro Sukuk. So first off, apologies. So first off, we would like to discuss, we think it is pretty important to understand what exactly the Sukuk is about. I mean, I'm pretty sure that quite a number of us, even though we've probably heard of Sukuk, there is still one or two, what's it called, questions as per how exactly was it introduced into the Nigeria's financial system, what exactly the background of the Sukuk is in Nigeria is. So to answer these two questions for a start, would like to invite Mr. Camille Issa to give us a brief background on the origination of Sukuk in Nigeria. Um, Hi, Mr. Camille. Please, are you on this call? Just to confirm, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I don't know if you can all hear me.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We can hear you clearly, bro
Yes, we
Kamil.
can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you, Fisayo, for this. Well, my presence here is to actually build the confidence of investors about the Yashud Micro Sukuk issuance. Well, however, as Fisayo just pointed out, that there's need for a background information of what Sukuk is. So, firstly, I think we need to know that Sukuk is a bond which originally it's in the Islamic finance it's called Sukuk, but while in the conventional aspect it's called a bond. So it is a kind of investment where investors tend to have ownership on a particular asset which is being placed in the market. So let's take, for example, if an investor wants to invest in Sukuk, the Yashud Micro Sukuk, for example, it shows that that investor has a percentage of ownership of the assets being placed in the Sukuk. So it's just like having a win-win. So you are putting your money, technically you are owning an asset, and that is being showed by issuing the investor a Sukuk certificate. So it shows that that investor can either, when the investor can hold that certificate, if it's a Sukuk that is tradable, he can also sell his rights to whoever that needs the sukuk. So basically, it's just like saying a conventional bond, but the difference is that this is Sharia compliant, meaning that there is no interest on it, and it is backed by an asset. So which shows that it's whatever happens, the investment that is being placed there will definitely be retrieved. So basically, these are the few information we can give, because I know we have some other discussions to state. So sorry for the brief explanation, but I think as we move forward, as I said, my coming here is to build the confidence in investors about the Assured Micro Sukuk, which inshallah, when the time comes, I would take that. Thank you.
Fisher, I think
think you're muted, Fisher.
Sorry, my bad. I didn't notice that. So yes, I said thank you, Mr. Camille. Um, just also, can you also give us when exactly the first Sukuk was issued in Nigeria, and what was its main objective from a financial perspective?
Thank you, Fisayo. The first sukuk we all know is the Ocean State Sukuk. Ever since there've been this issue of the Muslim faithful, especially, and other ethical investors finding it difficult to place their investment in investment that complies with their faith and their values. So with this, there were kind of policies, especially from the CBN, that brings in financial inclusion. So these policies aided in raising bonds which are Sharia compliant. So the first sukuk we can always remember, it's the Ocean State Sukuk, which by the special grace of God, our management team were part of those who flagged it, who made it possible, and that sukuk has been paid. It has, I mean, the tenure has elapsed. I think the year is, sorry, this was not the planned talk because I can't actually say the year now, but the first was the Ocean State Sukuk. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So just the last question before we get to the financial part. Because you mentioned about the regulatory framework and why you could flag that down. So just to confirm here, how exactly has this framework now evolved over time to support the current Sukuk, especially from the SEC and the Islamic Finance Boards?
Okay, thank you. So as I mentioned briefly, that the first framework was from the CBN, and that was clear because it was a sub-sovereign sukuk, meaning it was a state that was issuing it, and that made it a CBN regulatory kind of thing. And so there were clear regulations from the CBN, and because of that, there was what do you call it, a phrase which is like the Advisory Council of Experts established by the CBN, which consists of Sharia scholars who are well known both in Nigeria and the international space. So that gives it a stronger Sharia backing and ethical backing. So that's when that's over time, it's became a norm. So after the Ocean State Sukuk, there were several federal government Sukuk, so which now make the market to become more interesting for even private business owners who are looking to raise funds. So what's the later happened? We start having a private Sukuk. We had the Bilad Sukuk, we have the family home Sukuks, we have several Sukuk which were based on the private issuances. Then after that, we started even, it developed from not just Sukuk to having debt notes, commercial papers that last for 120 days, 90 days, 180 days. And that has shown that the Islamic finance space, especially with regards to the capital markets, it's developing fast. And with time, very, very soon, we hope to have more products that can cover a certain type of investors. We are so happy that the Yashud put in a different kind of investor type, or investors who are of the micro level, who cannot really afford the big 10 million, 100 million, and so they are looking at the micro, looking at people who can just put something into a long-term investment, and they are able to benefit for that. And another interesting thing is that the markets has really helped especially the Muslim-based businesses to actually grow, because at a point, a lot of people avoid even going to raise capital. Apart from going to invest, they are scared going to what? look for funds. Reason because the funds are not ethical and it's against their faith. So now you now see a lot of businesses being owned by Muslims, and not just that, people who are ethically conscious that they irrespective of their faith, they just don't want to be that they just don't want to engage in businesses which affect people's health, which is more of a goror, a kind of uncertain kind of businesses. So you see them also going to the market to also raise funds, just the way the Yashid Property Limited is trying to do same. So I think the market has really evolved, and we hope that, in fact, we hope in a few months to come, not just years to come, you will see more Sharia compliant fund managers, Sharia compliant banks. A lot of them are in the pipeline. Some have been given approval in principle and all that. So the industry is evolving greatly, and it's a call to everyone, to investors, to business owners, to tap from this opportunity before we become irrelevant to this ethical or Islamic finance space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Camille. I mean, that is pretty much a very big development and improvement. So, you also mentioned in the process of your speech about how there are also like Islamic scholars, and this brings me to our second guest speaker for today, Ms. Sheikh Ibrahim, who is an Islamic scholar in this regard. Welcome, Sheikh. So for this, we just want to know from your perspective from an Islamic scholar, how does this Sukuk model differ, like the Nigerian one, differ from what exactly is in like other countries like Manchester, Malaysia, Middle East, just generally, sir?
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. Thank you for having me today. So when we talk about, I think, again, I really want to commend Malam Kamil Shuaib for his submissions earlier on, because it pretty much covered the basis for Sukuk. When we talk about differences of what Nigeria Sukuk is and what the conventional bond is, I think it all boils down to the tenet of Islam when it comes to Sukuk. All things, when scholars were thinking about giving Sukuk, it has four main things behind it. Okay. When we talk about conventional bonds, like we all know, conventional bond is just based on debt, based on river, which it does not comply with the Islamic tenet of how we should make money or invest our money. I call it flag. You might not find this in book, but I want you to remember the word FLAG, flag. The first thing, the F there is for financing. Islam-wise, Islam does not want money to just stay somewhere. Islam does not just want us to keep on saving money, not using it, because it could be eaten up by inflation and all of those things. Of course, there's huge debate around the time value of money, but that financing is key. Number one thing, this is why we are actually institutionalizing Sukuk. For somebody going into debt, you don't even know what you're financing. People, you just giving money out, you want to make off the money. It's just a promise of debt, and you're going to make them on whatever works or not. So financing here, we provide ongoing halal returns for investors through real economy activity. So not interest. There is something we are saying that's tangible that we are financing. The second thing is legitimate alternative. It is because people talk down on the issue of is it a copy and paste? No. Sharia compliance is not a copy and paste. We are looking for something that aligns with Sharia, and it is legitimate alternative. It is a kind of Sharia compliant one that actually conforms with what Sharia stands for. So it offers Sharia compliant solution to conventional bonds. That's the L in the flag I mentioned. And A there is that Sukuk is asset backed. And if you look through all the Sukuk that's been issued in Nigeria, everything is asset backed, and I'm going to come to those earlier soon as well. Every Sukuk is anchored in tangible asset or project or whatever. And one thing that differentiates Sukuk as well, because when you're talking about conditions of Sukuk, you cannot issue Sukuk on something that is already existing. It has to be something new, another new value you're giving. And the G that ends is the growth. So we channel funds into infrastructure and development that uplifts society as a whole. So all these are very key, and it differentiates Sukuk generally from what we call the bond one. People are issuing different types of Sukuk, and what differentiates Nigeria one is that it's actually embedded in the real culture of Nigeria. Both SEC are the Security Exchange of Nigeria is regulating this when it comes to the legal framework. NSE has it also listed on that, and like mentioned earlier on, we have different Sukuk that's been issued so far in Nigeria, which makes it different from, because bonds doesn't actually contribute to the society, whereas Sukuk is doing this. And that's what you've seen in Malaysia, you've seen in Saudi, and it's going back to the grassroots, people in the community. Look from Ocean's one in 2017, that's 100 billion. Talk about, since then, the federal government since 2018 has done another 100 billion in June 2020 as well, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, till the last May one. So here you'll be hearing billion. And this is where you should, in fact, the last Sukuk issued, according to Fitch rating, said that the issuance of Sukuk, the last one, was oversubscribed by 735%. They were asking for 300 billion and they had 2.2 trillion naira. So this is how much people are actually looking into this. Yeah, the challenge is there, a lot of money, some people can't make it, and this is where Yashid is coming in now. There was something micro that's going to, we have very limited private sector. There is a huge shortage in the private sector for Sukuk issuance. And this is where we are coming, and Sukuk Ijara, whatever type we have. I think Yashid is bringing a beautiful one on board, which every layman will be able to tap into. So this actually differentiates us from what we have in the conventional setting.
Okay, thank you so much, Sheikh. I mean, from what you just said, it just seems like there are quite a lot of stakeholders who want to learn about the Sukuk and also have an impact on how it is perceived on a general basis. So in that regard, what would you say Islamic scholars and institutions, what role would you say they played in building awareness and legitimacy around this Sukuk in Nigeria?
I think that's an important question because it is a huge challenge. I will be very factual here. One of the biggest challenges we have in the Islamic finance industry, scholarly wise, is that we've got limited hands. And I always say this all the time. There is a huge gap. Look at it from, let me bring it down. Look at our universities. How many people do we have doing conventional finance? Thousands of students. In Nigeria alone, how many universities? Every university is doing finance. You might not have medicine, you might not have this and that, but you're going to have finance. How many universities are actually offering Islamic finance? Now, people who understand conventional finance, they do not understand Islamic finance. Those who understand Islamic finance, they don't understand Arabic or Sharia. Those who understand Sharia, they don't understand Islamic finance. Big gap. So this is a big issue. So it gives us that trouble of creating the necessary awareness. Those we have in the field, they are already overwhelmed with a lot of this and that. You've got this scholar is chairing different boards, startups. We need more people to actually do this. And I think this is one of the good initiatives, mashallah, that Yashud is trained out. We have the Usra Friday, like earlier mentioned, and many other initiatives that are coming out. So the awareness is one challenge. The other one is that, alhamdulillah, when we talk about the regulatory bodies, scholars are doing a lot. We've got some leaders in the industry, like you talk about Professor Alaro, you talk about Dr. Muhammad Bashir, and a few other people as well, Professor Yusuf of LAG, and many other people who are sitting at the top of regulatory framework, who are actual scholars of Sharia, and they are doing that. So we are following them as well, and we have a huge connection with them. So there is that as well. Nevertheless, there is still a lot to be done. There's still a lot to be done. But for what we have currently in Nigeria, we can say with all effrontery that it is Sharia compliant and it is doing what is supposed to be done in the community. So there's development coming. When we look at countries like Malaysia, like Saudi Arabia, even the UK, they get a lot on Sukuk and so many other projects as well. Why not Nigeria? And this was the foresight, God bless, irrespective of our political stance. I'm not a politician, I'm not talking politics here. Mr. Regbe Shola, when they started that in Osun State, look at how many schools that were built. Now Nigeria, look at how many roads in Nigeria that we have now. Different infrastructures, hospitals, windmills, a lot that can be used for. Not just that. So we just need to come to that micro level as well. Not everyone, not government can do everything. But we startups, different works, we can also come up with different ideas based on Sukuk, and we are going to do a lot. As far as the framework is strong, like I mentioned, the scholars are also working with SEC of Nigeria doing all of this, and it will interest you if you read, go on to the Debt Management Office of Nigeria, DMO. When you go to the website, you're going to see how much Sukuk has done in Nigeria and how much praises they're giving to it compared to the conventional bonds, and people are making money out of this.
Well, thank you so much, Sheikh. I mean, I hope this webinar is like the first of many in Nigeria to really make people know that they should get into this, because that definitely seems like quite a gap. But again, I think there's also been progress to get to where we are, so it can only keep growing from there, right? And so the next thing we want to talk about are the impact of Sukuk. And I think there's something both you and Mr. Camille mentioned. For instance, you gave an example of how when your Osun State started, how it led to building of schools and all of that. However, despite all of these impacts, we also notice that there are still people that probably are still avoiding, particularly Muslims, right, that are avoiding setting, or that are trying to avoid conventional interest-based products and all. So from this perspective, how would you now say the Sukuk contributed to financial inclusion for this particular kind of people in this regard?
I think that's an insightful one, and it's very important to actually see. I think people need testimony. I wanted, while I don't know who was sharing the screen earlier about testimonies people are giving around their shoot. So people ask, I think that it is not about marketing. It is just the truth, what people are saying out there. I'm an Islamic student of knowledge. I say when you invest in the stock market of Allah, it never crashes. So Sukuk is not a Ponzi scheme, like just want to get quick reach and all of those things. I spoke earlier about time value of money. There is a lot you can do with your money. Your money is building something for you, and you have it there at the end of the day. The first jar is one done, I think 2017. I put 100,000 there. It's a shame I had only 100,000 in it. Just imagine I had more I could put, and the money is coming in. So the impact is just immense. We talk about infrastructural development in the community. There are several flagship projects out there. Talking about roads, we mentioned, housing as well. We talk about health facilities, and we talk about all this. We don't have this, we don't have that. We could build a lot with Sukuk, just health facilities. Look at the border impact as well. Talk about the government or public partnership with different businesses, startups. People are growing. I stay in the UK, and many of us, we want to come back to Nigeria because somebody in the UK, many in the UK, I'm going to tell you this, and quote me anyway, many live from hand to mouth. But every day we see Nigeria, this friend wants to open a new house. This one wants to. Things are happening in Nigeria. We can't all be rich, but there is a lot happening. There's some social upliftment as well. This week we cannot deny it's there, and through Sukuk all this are happening. Talk about financial inclusion that you mentioned. Look at Sukuk as attract new classes of investors, retail-based people, the faith-driven people who are even after just money. It interests you. This is an Islamic. Go to Jai's Bank and see how many people are actually coming from Murabaha, and many of them are non-Muslims. It's ethical, they know, and this is this is there. You talk about accessibility in terms of the denominations and terminals as well. All these are there. It's not exorbitant amounts that many people won't be able to do. As a matter of fact, I have students, secondary school students, that I spoke to about finances. They don't have much, but you can have 10 students contribute 50,000 each, and they have 500,000 naira to put into a sukuk. They know they have something working for them. At the end of the month, probably help them in school and all of this. These are simple ideas. And talking about ethical investment as a these are impact. Many Muslims, they were back because this is not ethical. I can't do bonds. I can't go into these listings because they are not Sharia compliant. But with this, now you're having a lot, both on macro level and micro level. And I strongly believe that what Yashud is throwing out soon is something everyone should actually tap into. I hope we're going to also kind of oversubscribe, because 300 million, I think, is a chicken change when it comes to wow.
Thank you so much. I mean, we all hope we oversubscribe to, and that's why we really need this kind of session to just give that impact or insight into why exactly that kind of subscription is important, right? But also, so I noticed that a lot of the impacts you mentioned, just to like wrap up on impact of Sukuk before we move to the next section, is where on like governmental based level or federal based level, like state making stuff. Are there like any examples of like private companies like having impact from these Sukuk activities in Nigeria that, you know, we can also see? Because as much as Yashud has its own impact, it would also be nice to know that probably others have also done that just for like a cross.
Yeah. I think that is very important. Like I mentioned earlier on, I think that's one of the areas we really need to tap into. I said there is a huge shortage in the private sector. I know Lotus Bank did had one. I think Madam Kamisha also mentioned earlier on some of the ones that they're part of. I think the thing for me here, the problem is how much we should all actually try to immerse ourselves into this. Very important. There is a huge shortage from private sector perspective. There is trust issue. There is financial issue. There is the macroeconomics, the political burden in all of this as well. There is the profit loss sharing, the scared if it's going to build or not. Like, you know, we must mention when we talk Sharia investment, we're talking about nothing is really guaranteed, so to say. But so far there is nothing that's failed. And people who are going to this is not just we are just reading call alone. We have people who are risk managers who are looking into what's supposed to be done. So everything is well checked. So there's nothing to really be scared about. So the business are putting in all their effort. We should also try to do those huge shortage there from private sector perspective. I think with the initiative that Yashud is doing and some other people, I think people will start getting aware and they will tap into this channel as well.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Thank you so much. So we will move into product understanding, because I mean, I think that was a very good background into Sukuk as a whole and the kind of impacts we have. So more importantly, we also need to understand the micro Sukuk that Yashud is presenting. And we need to like delve into what exactly makes this micro Sukuk stand out within that Sukuk community. So for this, we'll be inviting Mr. Ibrahim to have the floor. And yes. Hi, Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Faisal. Thank you everyone for joining the call. It's been a wonderful one, and then I also want to recognize the speakers, Sheikh Ibrahim and Brother Kamil, for that wonderful introduction. Yeah, so for me, I will just be speaking about the product itself for now, and then of course the financial advisor would also come to speak in details about it. So when we talk about the sukuk that the micro sukuk, and then what led to it, and then how we came about the micro sukuk, right? So very clear and simple. What we thought about the fact that there are loads of investors out there, and then we premised on the oversubscription of the federal government sukuk that was recently launched in the last month, and we saw that it was oversubscribed by the amount that was mentioned. That gave us an opportunity to see that there are loads of Muslims investors, ethical seeking investors, let me use that word, that are willing to put their funds to better use. Now, what makes, and then from there, we're able to think about how we can gather or how we can penetrate into this small market. Our focus is on both financial inclusion and an accessibility, especially for small-scale investors and then grassroots communities. If you see the way we've designed it, we looked at, we deviated from the traditional sukuk, and then of course we also want them to enjoy the high minimum subscription, and then of course to benefit from the returns that an ordinary large investor would also benefit from. This structure is ensured to that's on the demand side, right? And then on the supply side, we thought to bring in not only financial inclusion, but of course to have a project that are beneficial to the Ummah on the one hand, and then also to contribute to the infrastructural gap on the real estate sector. When you look at the sukuk in itself, it's just democratizing funds together to ensure that we're able to bring out meaningful projects or probably affordable projects which are real estate based. Another peculiarity is that the process are typically channeled into micro infrastructure, and then of course to finance some set of real estate projects that were basket together. The goal is to ensure Sharia compliant financing, social impact, and of course economic empowerment at the grassroots level. So, inshallah, what we're trying to do is to ensure lower entry barriers, as opposing to the regulars or the traditional sukuk that we've seen, of course. And then we're looking at a community-focused investment, and then strong developmental emphasis is what we are looking at. I will take a pause. Of course, I would also say more to that in other questions. Thank you, Fisher.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. We also, at the basis of it all, I'm sure we are all probably wondering also, because I mean, although Ibrahim said there was also like a lot of that the inspiration was basically backed by the government sukuk and all of that. Sorry, apologies. We also think that it's also, I mean, why micro in the first place? Because at the bottom of it all, most of the sukuk that we know is just general sukuk. So what exactly inspired it to be the micro sukuk in this regard? And we invite Abu Jabbar for this.
Okay, thank you very much, Felicia. Salam alaikum, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for taking the time out. It's the first time I'm speaking, so I just thought to say hello before I went into it. I think Ibrahim has done a fantastic job in terms of covering our own intentions. The most important aspect of it being micro for us is accessibility and inclusion on both sides, right? So the key thing behind what we are doing at Yashud is empowerment. Right, empowerment both for our development that we're looking to build in terms of adding value to society, and then empowerment in sort of putting funds in people's pockets that typically wouldn't have access to products like these. So that is why we decided to go the micro route, where we are raising money in sort of piecemeal, sort of to create what I call it smaller projects to have immediate impact. So going like brother Sheikh Ibrahim actually said, 300 million in terms of real estate is not a lot of money, can't do a lot. But what we're saying is, can we take this money in tranches so that people can actually see the impact as quickly as possible in the product that we're actually assigning those funds to? And then also to sort of lower the entry barrier. As I'm sure our partners from 117 would speak about, just there's some certain barriers that SEC have put in place to sort of protect investors. So the ticket size and the entry barrier to investing in these kind of products are usually very high. What we said is we're going to lower it by coming in as a community in Yashud through our tech platform and our own personal management, where we sort of pool funds together and then go into a private placement as sort of a community or a cooperative, as the case may be. So that's why we're looking at, lowering that barrier to maybe about 500,000 naira, so most people can have access to it. We pull it together, we take it into the fund as one entity, so that way we can then, enjoy, the benefits of the sukuk. So these are the main reasons and intentions behind it. Just empowerment generally across board, both with our partner developers and also with our investors. I think that would be the intention behind it.
All right. Thank you so much, Abu Jabbar. So before we go into the financial and assurance part, you at the very start, Abdulaziz mentioned how it is the structure of this sukuk is ijara based, and so Ibrahim, can you just kindly give us like a little overview of how exactly this ijara leasing model works for this particular sukuk structure or micro sukuk structure?
Okay, thank you very much, Felicia. I think this we look at okay, so we look at what we have our choice of sukuk structure or contract is the ijara, and then for multiple reasons we have decided to go with ijara. And then, of course, we have considered a lot of things. We looked at the side on the demand side and then the supply side to see how it fits into the ijara structure. Again, this is a lot of effort from our Sharia advisors, the financial advisor, also the trustees, and as well as also our founder, person of Jabbar, to see how we can bring up what we can do differently in terms of benefiting from the assets belonging to the entity. Yeah. So, but again, if we look at the structure is quite simple, and then we try as much as possible to flow with the traditional ijara structure that we all know in the market. But again, I'll explain. And then the way it flows from the demand side to the supply side, which is quite clear. Now, the first is I'll just quickly talk about what an ijara means. Ijara is just a lease for basic understanding. Ijara is just a lease-based transaction, and then of course in Islamic finance, the preferred lease structure is the operating lease. In this operating lease, it means that the ownership, risk, and reward still resides with the lessor, the owner of the asset, until it is completely transferred to, or probably there's an agreement to transfer ownership to the lessee. In this structure, what we've done is to ensure that we wanted to raise funds for construction of assets, and then the first thing is what we issued the sukuk. We have an issuance sukuk to the investors. That's the first leg, and then we get fund from them. And then on the basis of that, we sell our existing assets to these investors, and then we collect money for us part of being the ownership. As investors now become the owners of that existing asset. That's on the first side. The first leg means that we go to the market to express our interest to raise funds. By raising funds, we are pledging an asset that belongs to the entity as the issuer, and then by doing that, we receive funds from the investors, and then we transfer ownership. We transfer ownership of the asset to these investors, and the investor now become the lessor. So automatically, that's the first leg. The second leg is us as Yashud, which we are the issuer, performing the role of a lessee. Now, because the asset is being owned by the investor, it has to be leased out to Yashud. So leasing out to Yashud means that Yashud will now be paying rentals for the utilization of that asset to the investors. So that is how we're able to come up with the payment of the periodic payment that we had mentioned to the investors, as investors will be receiving that periodically. Now, the rental payment is going to, according to our structure, is backed by the rentals that we are receiving from the asset. The last part of it is the fact that Yashud is also going to be appointed as a service agent to ensure that he manages the asset so that it doesn't contradict Sharia, and then the ownership still remains with the lessor, who are the investors. And then the final part is where the investors are going to be paying back the assets. They're going to be buying back the asset from Yashud is going to be buying back the asset from the investors, so that the final payment, the payment of the ownership of the asset will now be transferred back to the investors. So there is of 4 layers. The first one is how do we source for funding, and then which is just going to be around going to the market, Yashud going to market to sell its existing assets to the investors. The second layer is it becomes a leasee, because it's going to lease the assets from the owners of the assets, which are the investors. And then, of course, they are going to appoint him as a service agent to ensure that the asset is managed properly, and then is able to generate rental income. And then the final part is where the asset is going to be leased back to Yashud, such that there are going to be a closure, or there's going to be a dissolution to the investment. Yeah, so that is the JARA structure. Thank you, Keisha.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibrahim. That is really a beneficial interest, like we said. Okay, so again, just a final one in terms of this. Yes. So Abdulaziz, we also understand that you probably also have like little background into this JARA structure, but also in the process of giving that, can you also explain this particular asset that our investors are going to be banking into, which in this point is the center point? Because there is also a need to understand what exactly this asset that we've been talking about all day is. Abdulaziz, you have the floor, please.
Okay, thank you, Feisha. Just before I go into that, I'll probably allow Java speak more about center point, but I just wanted Ibrahim to shed a bit of more light in terms of ownership. So, Ibrahim, are you saying that our investors will be the owner of the assets? So, are they buying this asset from us? I think that'll be very interesting for everybody to know.
Okay, thank you very much, Abdulaziz. Yes, I mentioned it. Okay, but let me be clear about the ownership structure, right? In the first place, of course, when you go into the description of the asset, Abjaba will speak more about that. There's a portion of asset that is existing and then belonging to Yashud. So Yashud is trying to do what? Raise funds at the back of this asset. So it means that Yashud is selling the assets to the investors, which is the consideration, which forms part of the consideration in raising that particular fund. So what we're saying in essence is there's a true transfer of ownership of those assets to the investors using the trustee, and that's why we have introduced the trustees to ensure that the ownership is established. And then by that time, that's where we have said that these investors and then the investors now become the lessor. So of course we know the investors are multiple investors, so that's why we brought the trustee to undo this part on their behalf, and then they become the lessor, and then they lease the assets to Yashud. At the back of that is where they will receive rental income, and then there's a need for a buyback at the end of the lease term. I hope I'm able to answer that, Abdulaziz.
Yeah, very clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Abdul Jabbar, just a little bit insight into the assets we're talking about.
Okay, thank you very much, Risha. So just as I think Abdulaziz had given a brief description of Center Point earlier on. It's a premium office space that we are building in Ebute Metta, actually inside the railway compound, for those that are familiar with Lagos State. So you know of the access advantage of the location of the property. It's directly on Muritala Mohammed Way, so you can actually access it from the express that leads you away from the rail station that is just close to about, I'd say maybe about 150 to 200 meters away from the rail station. So it's strategically located. It's about 500 square meters of office space. It's an open plan plan that we have for it. It's been carefully sort of curated actually to provide an environment that would encourage a lot of, cooperative working and the likes. So what we're also doing is we're providing some other facilities that you generally wouldn't find in most spaces. So things like, prayer rooms, things like, ample, what I call it, open plan floors, and then even glass, accessibility, just to provide, something different and something fresh to the market. We're very happy about it. We do have some offtake on it as well. I think some of the space has been gone. And what we're looking to do is sell a portion of that to the Sukuk holders, which we're using to raise funds, that Ibrahim I explained earlier. So I think most people are very aware of, the, what I call it, tech-centric hub of Ebute Metta. So it's one of those spaces that, it's developing very, very fast, and a lot of businesses are looking to have a presence there. So we're very optimistic about, the what I call it, the offtake of the assets, as when it goes to the market directly. But for now, we're looking to structure a way where we sell a portion of these assets to our Sukuk holders to use to raise funds to then go into other affordable home developments. So I hope that explains it properly. Thank you.
Right. Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Abdul Jabbar. So let's quickly move into the financial risk, right? Because from what we know, the MS1 offers a 21% ROI, that has return on investment for 3 years. So this question goes to our financial personnel in the house, Mr. Camille. How exactly is this particularly sustained, and what are the risks that are behind this investment in this regard?
Thank you so much, Fisayo, and thank you, everyone. So, yes, it's an investment. So definitely, there are certain risks that are all there. For example, one of the particular risk investors will always look at, especially ethical investors, is the Sharia compliance. And from all explanations we have been hearing from Ibn Ibrahim, is that the structure was carefully looked at to accommodate the Sharia concerns. So, in fact, I think in the preliminary issues, they were change of instrument to be sure that there is it's Sharia compliant. So later we concluded using the Ijara instrument. So the Sharia compliance here is that first it is a real estate, is an asset which is tangible, which is available, and the documentations are clear, meaning that in terms of ownership, it's clear that there's an agreement which shows that the ownership of the asset is being transferred to the investor. So, and apart from that, again, the Sharia compliance in there too is that the real estate structure, which is the center point structure, it's clear that even at the end of the tenure, it's not just that Yashud is the one buying it out. So it's just that they have been given an offer of first refusal. So which shows that it's not that it's a buyback kind of a transaction. So everything there is transparent, the structure is transparent, and not just that, the Sharia advisor which certifies the structure. And not just that, every year Sharia audits. So the Sharia audit looks at are the investors being paid? Is the money well utilized? It was promised that the proceeds of the Sukuk is to be channeled to real estate development. So during the audit, the Sharia auditors will look at this explanation, or are these details given by the promoters correct? Do they actually channel these proceeds to real estate development? So there's a kind of a a strong Sharia framework. So the Sharia kind of risk is being taken care of, as there is a Sharia advisors, and the structure itself is Sharia compliant. So that's the first risk. Then the other risk is in terms of the mismanagement of fund. So on this, a lot of our investors, they are concerned that, oh, we have given this money to the promoters, and now how sure are we they've not gone for a party, or they've not used our money to go for Umrah, or they've not used our money to this. So this is not this has been edged. We've tried as financial advisors. We've looked at the cash flow projections of the promoters. We've looked at the financial statements of the promoters to look at how diligent they are, how prudent they've been in terms of their previous issuances, in terms of their debt obligations they've had before now, and how they've been, like how they meet up with their obligations. You can testify to that even from is it Abdulaziz that presented that the last rain notes that was issued last year, the investors have received their principals and also their profit. So it shows that the promoter or the issuer, they had a good credit rating. So it means that investors' monies are saved. It's not going to be mismanaged. So that concern, that risk of mismanagement of fund, that has been ruled out. Then investors also see this as a risk in terms of their returns. We are promised, or it is stated in the structure, that investors will get rental payments biannually. They will get rental payments every year, twice a year. I'm correct? Yes. So now investors will be are these guys going to really meet this quarterly payments they promised? Are they really genuine for this? So this is something that investors would be looking at, that are they really going to fulfill this obligation? So this has been covered. In fact, there's a security on this transaction. There is a pledged security of 3-bedroom flat, 4 units. I'm correct, Mr. Jabbar or Ibrahim? I'm correct.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
Correct.
4 units or 3-bedroom apartments in Surulere. Yes.
yes, so this is a pledge security, so that in case that the issuer is unable to meet its obligation, this can be liquidated and investors will be settled. So this is there are a lot of risk which we've been able to settle with. There's we can tell investors that this investment is not just it's not just an investment of I know you or you know me. No, it fulfilled all the requirements for an investment that should give returns. And the other concern is investors would be looking at who is taking care of our interests in this investment. So, as the structure, as mentioned earlier by some of the speakers, that the structure, we have an SPV. So this SPV it constitutes the trustees, which has the highest percentage of the ownership of the SPV. Then the issuer, which is Yashuda Property Limited. So, and this SPV is the one that the investors are paying the investment, their principal to the account. So you're not paying directly to even Yashud. I'm talking about on the broader level, because not on the micro level. Mr. Jabbar has mentioned that Yashud will be coming into this pool as a cooperative, or as it's coming as a cooperative into the pool. So, but the pool is that the money is being transferred to the SPV, which shows that money is not even directly sent to the issuer, which is Yashud Property Limited. So it is the SPV that receives all this money. So this SPV, they don't once the issue is closed and the time has elapsed, then before it will transfer this proceeds to the issuer, there's everything must be in place in terms of all the agreements required. The sales agreement must be signed, must be executed. The renters, all this must be put in place. So the SPV is not just going to transfer the money to to the should know. All this must be done. The agreements must be executed, and everything promised must be uh, must must uh, must must be put in place. So once this is done, then the SPV now transfers the money to Yashud, and it is expected that Yashud pays rentals quarterly. And this has been shown by they have several off-takers which already are waiting to come in. So they've all they are off-takers there for the transaction. Sorry, a call came in. So so these off-takers are there. So there's kind of certainty to investors that yes, this rentals is going to come as at when due. And we as financial advisors, we are in the loop. We are in all this to ensure that the financial statements of the company, we are sure and we are guaranteed, we have the assurance that these people are going to transfer the money to the SPV. So the SPV is not the one that will be paying the investors. So the SPV will not look for money anywhere. It is from Yashud. And because of that, there's a kind of pressure on Yashud, the issuer, to meet obligations. So it is controlled. So what are the risks that we perceive in this transaction? I believe with the controls put in place, all this risk would not really matter to investors. And I hope that this, as said by Sheikh Ibrahim, that this sukuk will definitely be oversubscribed because it's something that is a bit small. And one of the risks that private sukuk issuance or sukuk of that is being issued by private sectors is there's this fear of how the guarantee of repayment. So that's why you find that it is people are more comfortable when it is federal government, that is the sovereign sukuk, or the sub-sovereign, that is the state. So it is just recently that private sectors started coming in, especially with the real estate sector. So we've had several real estate sukuk, and alhamdulillah, we are bringing a micro sukuk of that same sector, which is the Yashud micro sukuk. So I believe that with this, investors should be rest assured that their investment is safe in this transaction. And we believe that from the due diligence aspect of it that we've done, we don't see Yashud to be one who is default, who can default in any payments. We can, because our due diligence begins from even confirming the ownership of the company. So, and not just the ownership, the governance framework. Do they have an established governance framework? Is it a one-man show? So all these we are certified that no, this is a system, they operate a system, and it's a system that has existed even when there are challenges. The system existed, and the system is the people who manage the system, and the people who manage the system are people of with good character, and a lot of people have testified to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Camille. Um, so before we round up, we have a poll up for people to like respond to. We want to know your thoughts. We want to know your views on we want to know your view on what exactly or the kind of sukuk features in this regard you would like to see more of in future issuances. However, also we also understand that there will be people that still have questions, one or two questions, or like clarifications that they need. And so we are going to open the floor up to everyone for like a Q&A session. You can either text in the type space or you can unmute yourself to ask. while we are waiting for Miss the questions, I
Hello.
also think,
Assalamu alaikum.
okay, alaikum salam. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Muhammad Tahir. Actually, I am a Sharia researcher in Islamic finance, Islamic economy as a whole, and Islamic banking precisely, and things that has to do with something like this. What actually brought my attention to attending this was actually a problem I have saw for like long time, like federal government, the DMO will have sukuk and everyone is praising sukuk, but it is as big as macro that like people will not have the closer meaning of it. So people just look at it as a very rocket science that cannot be approached, which you should approach into doing this is something that is very commendable and actually a journey of 1,000 miles start from somewhere, and then you just have to start it. And inshallah, we are hoping to see much of it like this, and inshallah in the future. My question is actually regarding this particular ijara sukuk. Is it who is responsible to identify the specific project the sukuk is going to be on? Is it the manager? Is it the legal? I hear you say SP something nice. I believe maybe they are the ones that will oversee the both side of it. Or and then is should coming into this project as the manager, because I hear in a discussion saying that at the end of it is going to be like you give Yashud will be giving you back at the end of it. So are they going to enter as two with two personality? One, the personality of the one that manage what is going on, like the project manager, number one. Number two, as the one that will manage as the one that will be the end benefactor of it, because if I understand clearly, it seems like the person at the end of it, it is going to own and then be given back. And if that is the case, what exactly the other aspect of it, what exactly is Yashud going to put into place for the investors to feel like, okay, we are doing this together, and then you are the manager? Thank you. I hope my question is understood.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed.
Okay, so I the question is clear, and then I want to appreciate you, Brother Tahir. I know this is a Sharia-based question, and I'm happy that we have a lot of Sharia personnel on the call. Interestingly, what I will just do is just to scratch the surface, and I'll allow some of my senior colleagues to address few other things. Yeah, in the Sharia, in Sharia parlance, let me use that word, right? There are loads of issues around sukuk, and then these other issues have given rise to another or some other issues in specific sukuks. So again, some sukuk are quite clear in terms of the structure. Some are not. Those ones that are not clear, of course, Sharia scholars and then the higher what's it called? Islamic Finance Board, IFSB, IOFI, and then the rest have discussed ways that we can address those issues. Not that those issues are completely solved, And I must mention that even IOFI just released the guidelines as to how we can tighten the issuance of Sukuk to ensure that it does not just mimic the traditional bond. Now, going back to your question, which is around which is around where is Yashud, what is Yashud buying, where's the assets. So, and then that leads to my explanation earlier. There's the first leg is the buying and selling. You understand? The buying and selling of an existing asset. It means that Yashud own an asset and is selling an asset to the investors. Just allow me take away what the trustees that are acting on behalf, or the SPV that is acting on behalf of the investor. Let's just assume that this is a relationship between Yashud and the investors. So what they are doing basically is to sell assets to these investors, and then they receive consideration for the sale of that asset. When that is done, the ownership of that asset belongs to the investors. When they have this asset, that is when the JARA comes in, leasing the asset out. Who are they leasing to? Because the investors do not have the opportunity to manage the assets, Yashud is going to act in another capacity to manage that asset, such that the assets will be given out to potential offtakes, and then the monies are going to be they'll pay rental income or rentals for the purchase or for the release of the assets. That rentals is what is going to be paid periodically to the investors as return on their assets. And then the end part of it, which we have all discussed, and then again we have considered the Sharia part of it, and then Bra Kamil has also mentioned it on the call, is that the sale of that asset, which forms the investment that will be back to the investor, is to ensure that we sell the asset. The only thing we are just saying here is that Yashud is given the first right of refusal in case they have interest in buying the asset. This structure is in line with the relevant guidelines that we have put in place. I will just stop there, and then I'll allow some other scholars to discuss or to talk about it for better clarity. Yeah, thank you.
Nothing too much to add for me. I think you covered the bases. Alhamdulillah, and Mr. Tahir as well. I strongly believe you understand. For that, I really don't want to make any other comment because I don't want to confuse who are Sharia experts or Sharia strength of knowledge for that. I think the structure of who owns what at the end of the day is something that should be very clear. And it's one of the challenges. The complexity in understanding the product itself, I think, is something we are trying to work on from awareness and education perspective, if I can use that word. But then the structure put in place by Yashud currently, everything is well structured. I'm sure scholars here and there have vetted them as well. And like Ustaz Ibrahim mentioned, it also conforms with the IOFI standard. And even looking from a Maliki perspective, and we are Malikiya in Nigeria. So if we read At-Tabsira very well, I think this is well mentioned. I'm talking about the book of 8 volumes. It's something that we're going to say that this is actually in line with that, and giving Yashud the preference of buying back. It is not any form of bay'ul at all, if that is where we're driving at. So it is well cleared and structured. That's the only thing I want to add to it.
All right, thank you very much, Shay. Thank you, Ibrahim. Mr. Mohammed, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much. That answered my question, and I'm really happy the way it has been treated, and then It seems like the management and the Sharia expert understood the ground in which this whole question is going through. And inshallah, it's something we will hope to see more and we will hope to be part of, alhamdulillah, because this is very, very innovative, because it is another thing to be ethically standard, is another thing to be rationally relevant, and then in terms of business wise. And there is a lot of prudent structure being put in place, and we are happy for that. Inshallah, it keeps developing. It gives the structure and the compliance and things like that. It will keep on going to the best maximum level, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Mohammed. Brother, okay, there's a question, but first, let me just quickly give a response to that. In the recent time, and alhamdulillah, and I can see that we have a lot of ethical seeking investors on the call. It shows that people are not actually looking forward to the unrealistic returns, and then that's why questions have not been coming around. Why 21%? And then interestingly, that means it shows the level of understanding and then the acceptability around how we want to ensure that we earn halal income. So we are grateful for that. And then, Brahma Tahir, we really appreciate your question. And then we're happy to have further conversation with you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Ibrahim. So let me just move to the next question. Can one increase their investment amount as time goes on? Do I get to answer this question, or Abdul Jabbar, would you answer this, please? Just confirm.
I mean, no, it's fine. I can just take it. It's just so as time goes on, as we had mentioned, you can hold Sukuk, and then if the other holders of the Sukuk decide to liquidate, there'll be the offer that will be made to existing holders. So as time goes on, if people decide that they want to maybe just liquidate their investments, that opportunity will be given to our current holders. So that way you can actually increase your investments as the Sukuk actually goes on over the 3-year period, inshallah.
All right, thank you so much. So the next question, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for the session so far. I already joined a bit late, but from Brother Ibrahim's response, I think I now understand what the program is about. My question is, in what ways can I benefit from it as an investor, and how can I go about it? So, Abdul Jabbar, I'll send this question to you again for the benefiting from it as an investor. And for the how can I go about it, just shortly before we close, I'm just going to be sharing like a 2-minute video just to show how exactly we can invest in the Micro Sukuk. That should answer that question.
So I'm slightly confused as to how can I benefit from its question. Is that just in terms of the returns or any other additional benefits? Is that what the question is about?
I think the investor wants to hear about the overall benefits as an investor. Okay, Kamil is also
okay. But do you want to say something? Sorry, before I go.
No, I just answered the question. I wanted to say something after that. Sorry.
Okay, I mean, overall benefits are quite clear. Alhamdulillah, we have the intentions we have at Yashud is to sort of encourage and promote Islamic finance or ethical based products. So, well, inshallah, if you're participating in this, there's the additional benefits of knowing that you are promoting something that, it's is encouraged as a Muslim, if you are a Muslim. Outside of that, as we had alluded to earlier, most of these investments will be going into development of affordable housing development. So this is what we are looking to raise the funding for, inshallah. So that way, that you are actually contributing towards a problem that we all know is the housing deficit. What we are looking to do, which we would come to in the future as you follow the Yashud journey, you see our innovative approach towards bringing down the housing prices, because we know affordability is a major issue around that. So what we are doing is we are raising this funding and sort of putting our own what I call it skin in the game. so that we can show people that these are the models that we think would bring down the pricing of housing and provide more affordable homes to people in general. So inshallah, you'll be contributing across board, both in terms of solving the problems of housing and also just promoting Islamic finance products and overall encouraging the Islamic finance economy. So that would be my thoughts on that.
All right, thank you, Abdul Jabbar. Mr. Camille, you can go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to, Mr. Malam Tohir mentioned why some of these products are not really available in the market. Mr. Abdul Jabbar and Ibrahim can tell you for free that it was in fact, we had a lot of regulatory barriers are there for products to come into the market. And most of this, there are a lot of costs, especially from the regulators. And that also is a reason why you can see on a micro level some of these products coming out. So you hardly see investment scheme like that coming outside all this. So that's one of the things that is actually hindering products like this. So as Yashud is taking this bold step, it's like, let's go into the market. I am very, very sure when this goes free like this, a lot of people will want to come up with products of this type. So I believe even before they come up with it, Yashud would have released another series by God's grace.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much for that.
Sorry, Feisha. Sorry, excuse me. Just to add to what Abdul Jabbar mentioned and to our brother that was asking about the benefits. One benefit of investing with us is the option of having your zakat paid through our platform. We think this is a major added value and that we're breaking on board, and it contributes to the general ummah because of where we are deploying it to. So I think the zakat payment option is also a very good one, and I think Feisha after this call would take us through how that can be done. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Abdulaziz. So for the zakat payment, it's just still going to be like reviewed in the same video for how you can invest in the MS1, because you can very easily opt into our zakat from that, or even right from the start of your investment before you even make the payment. And I do not know if, I think we probably have a general overview of how zakat is, right? But before I move into the video, I think one last thing I want to also include that is like a feature that we are proposing on the rain is our raindrops activity. So basically, we also know that sometimes it is also necessary to need encouragement into some of these investment processes, right? So we like launched what we called raindrops. So with raindrops, we are basically for every activity you do, you earn a certain amount of drops. If you invest, you earn a certain amount of raindrops. If you refer people like, oh, I know Yashud is a good company, you should register with them. You also earn a certain amount of raindrops. And the good thing about raindrops is they can be converted to things that you can trade for. So from prayer mats to normal Yashud mugs and just things that can also help you in like the Islamic journey and to get closer to our creator. So while at that, I'm hoping that there is no other question, but if there is, because of time, you can just like type it in the text space, and if you still have a question after we are done, you can always like reach out to us on WhatsApp or on our social media pages at Yashud, both on Instagram and LinkedIn. So I will be sharing my screen now, and we should be reviewing the video. Thank you very much, everybody. The wealthy ethical way. Here's how to invest in the MS1 Micro Sukuk by Yashud. First, visit our app at app.realinvestor.com and sign in or log into your account. If you do have an account with us, you can always sign up. Once you log into your account, so automatically takes you to your dashboard, and then you can go to the issuance sector. Once you get to the issuance, you will scroll down and see the Micro Sukuk, which will be open at the time of investment. And once you do, it will take you to the details. Then you click on view details to take you to the details of the Micro Sukuk. There on this page, you can see all the information you need regarding the Micro Sukuk, as well as the documentation that you need for your reference. The minimum amount to invest in this issuance is 500,000, and that represents 5 units, where 1 unit is basically 100,000. And what you can do is just put in the number of units starting from 5. You can be 6 and 7, depending on the amount you want to invest with us. Just a brief breakdown or brief information about the Micro Sukuk. MS1 is Nigeria's first Sharia-compliant Ijara-based Micro Sukuk, offering 21% annual returns that is to be paid quarterly. Your investment is backed by rental income from Center Point project and also is secured by our Arena apartment. Investor protection is overseen by our trustees, STL trustees, as well as our financial advisor, 170 financial advisor, to ensure the highest standard of financial structuring. Going forward in the bidding process, once you are done placing a bid, you can always just scroll down, and then it will take you to the details of the bid, where you can click on it and you will see an option to make payments. Once you do that, it will show you an account details that you can send your payments to. And once you do, it will also click on yes, and it will take you also to the page where you can upload your payment information, and voila, you automatically have successfully subscribed to the Micro Sukuk issuance. Join a growing community of ethical investors building affordable housing while earning consistent, purpose-driven investments or returns. Visit us at app.twinvestor.com and start investing today. Thank you very much. I hope that was pretty clear. And so just again about the zakat, if you notice at the point where you can like make payments or you input the number of units, you can also pick if you want your returns to be paid to you quarterly, or if you want it to be paid to you annually. That's at the end of 1 year. So with quarterly, it means that after every 3 months, you get like a quarter of your total investment, or your total profit payment rather, sent to you. However, if you decide that, oh, we don't want to break that particular thing, you also have that opportunity to make that choice. And at the bottom of it, you can also subscribe with our zakat. So before we round up, just like a brief with our panels, do you have like any last words to say or any further information to give regarding this?
Just before that, I'd just like to say a very, very big thank you to everyone that has participated in this, most especially our invited guests, Brother Camille of 117, our financial advisors, and Brother Ibrahim of Sharia Labs, who are our own in-house advisors as well across board. Brother Ibrahim is a brother to the organization, is always available when we call on him. I just want to say a very big thank you to both of you, and my partners, as well as the entire team, Faishayo, Ibrahim, Abdulaziz. Other than that, I think I just want to add that, you know, these products that we are putting out there has been carefully curated, and it has come from understanding the problems that, you know, as Muslims we face in terms of, you know, having those products that we can actually participate in to sort of build our own wealth. On the other side as well, with my background in real estate development and real estate finance, and I've realized that a lot of what I call it ethical companies that want to scale are really struggling to find access to finance. So what we are trying to do here should create that pipeline where we vet, you know, solid products that we know that people can actually participate and enjoy benefits in, and then we de-risk them as much as possible and then put them out there for those to invest. However, we understand that, as you know, something if the pudding is in the taste. So we are willing to sort of put, you know, dip our hands in there to understand these products better before sort of put people on the journey, so that they understand what we are doing well. They are part of the community we're looking to build at Yashud, and they're able to participate and grow with us, which is why we're doing things on a smaller scale towards a, you know, a future of maybe growth, inshallah. So that's where we are coming from. We would encourage you to go on this journey with us. We are very, very intentional in what we are doing, and we hope that people are encouraged by, our own, what I call a roadmap and our process so far. So I just wait for my other partners as well to chip in anything or to chip in, but I just encourage everybody to please participate in this sukuk. We assure you that, we've diligently put it together, and we hope that inshallah everything will go well and we will all benefit as partners. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abdul Jabbar. Well said. I would also like to appreciate everybody on this call, from our external advisors to the guests. We thank you so much, and we appreciate your consistent support throughout this. I also would like to mention that the video of this webinar will be made available to everyone, and including the brochure of the investment and all documents supporting this issuance that will be made available to everyone. That will be all from me. Thank you once again.
Okay, for me, thank you everyone for joining. It's a pleasant one. One thing I want to mention is just to reiterate what the other founders had mentioned, is the fact that we put a lot of effort to ensure that we come up with this particular issuance. This is not going to be the last, and then we are looking forward to bringing more issuances that would also support our belief, our faith, and then of course being able to help us maximize returns on our investment. It's an interesting session. We are hoping that we would always catch up, and then you can always reach out to any of us when there are issues, and then we can support you through the onboarding and the onboarding process. So again, we are flexible as to the issuance, and then we are hoping that we can have a strong communication when there are issues. So thank you very much. Feisha is always your is at your beck and call to address a lot of things, and then she can support you through the onboarding process. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. Thank you, Abdulaziz. Thank you, Abdul Jabbar. And of course, we know that thank yous never can be too much. So once again, thank you so much to our guest, Sheikh Ibrahim, as well as Mr. Camille. It's really been a pleasure having you here. And also to everybody that has joined us on this call. I mean, we definitely hope to see more of you, and we hope to do more of this. So see you till our next issuance. We remain the same.
So Feisha, please, before everybody drops off, please encourage them to go on the app to register. Please, we have dropped the app link in the chat box. Please, everybody, please go ahead and register for the app to enjoy it, because you can only come in through this process. It's a tech-enabled process, so please go ahead and register. And if you have any challenges, the whole team are available at your beck and call whenever you come through any roadblocks or you like us to support with. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Abdul Jabbar. Thank you once again. Of course, for the site is app.raininvestor.com. Take care. See ya.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.